I showed up at Steve's work, and the lights in the gym were still on. Suddenly, the lights went off, and Steve walked out of the gym with some pretty girl next to him. They got into her expensive car, and I followed them. They parked at the most luxurious district in the city. Steve and the hottie got out of the car and entered the house. I waited a few seconds and walked up to the house. Every night, my neighbor would get very loud by being intimate, and I decided to ask him to be even louder.
Louder? Sure, I can do that. But why? You like it, babe?
He thought it turned me on, but I didn't ask for myself. I asked for my husband. There hadn't been much passion in our bedroom for a long time, and I was hoping to stir my Steve up. He was once a professional athlete, so I was sure that he would want to compete with our neighbor. However, when I got back, Steve was fast asleep. And I had to listen my tireless neighbor going off. That night was the last straw for me. The next day, with a whole plan in mind, I decided to sweeten Steve's breakfast routine.
Honey, I wouldn't do it on the table.
Come on, let's do it! We used to do it everywhere. I beckoned my husband and suddenly the table legs broke. And I ended up on the floor along with breakfast. The incident made me take a good look at myself. I realized that in 5 years of marriage, my shape was completely gone. Besides the extra pounds, I got wrinkles and my hair turned gray. My husband, on the other hand, looked perfectly fine. He was a fitness coach and worked out at the gym every day. In order to fix the problem, I did some shopping and scheduled an appointment with a stylist. He made a goddess out of me.
Your champion will be pleased, honey.
I thought so too. At least until I got a text from Steve. He said that the gym had received new equipment and that he and other employees needed to assemble it overnight.
Don't wait up for me. Just go to bed.
That is where I fell apart. To somehow smooth out the evening, I grabbed a bucket of ice cream to celebrate the funeral of our passion. At the checkout, I saw someone I really didn't want to see, our new neighbor, who was getting ready for another love marathon.
Why would such a beauty spend the evening by herself?
He suggested I should visit him, but I refused, of course. Still, the neighbor made me think. If he was interested in me, then why wasn't I getting any attention from my husband? Could he be seeing another woman? I showed up at Steve's work, and the lights in the gym were still on. Suddenly, the lights went off, and Steve walked out of the gym with some pretty girl next to him. They got into her expensive car, and I followed them. They parked at the most luxurious district in the city. Steve and the hottie got out of the car and entered the house. I waited a few seconds and walked up to the house. While standing in the window, I heard them puffing, and the window ended up completely fogged. It was sad. I had forgotten how hot Steve was. Suddenly, my husband opened the window to ventilate the room and caught me.
Honey, what are you doing here?
I was going to ask you the same thing, but it seems pretty clear to me. I wanted to leave, but Steve didn't let me. Then he made me realize that I was jumping to conclusions.
5 more minutes, and don't forget to breathe properly.
The hottie was working out with dumbbells. It didn't look like he was cheating on me. But why did he lie? Steve ended up telling me everything. Before the wedding, he promised me a beautiful life, but his sports career began to decline. He landed a job as a coach and worked hard, but he couldn't do much on a coach's salary. Steve was depressed about us living in an apartment with old furniture and thin walls. And when our Asian table fell apart because of me, he decided to accept a client's offer. Apparently, she had been begging him for private sessions for a while.
Come on, I promise to be generous. But I have one condition. We must work out in the evening, as I am way too busy during the day.
Steve decided not to tell me about his part-time job because he was planning on surprising me.
I wanted to buy us a new and more comfortable apartment, one worthy of you.
I realized that my husband was faithful to me and hugged him. It meant the world to me to know that the routine of a family life didn't stop him from fighting for me. I convinced Steve that I could easily live without a new apartment, but that it would be extremely hard for me to live without his hugs. My husband heard me and started taking care of himself. We freshened up the house and started spending the evenings together. Passion finally returned to our bedroom, so much that our neighbor asked us to be quieter. People with good intentions make promises, but people with a strong character keep them.